Good.
Yeah, we'll just wait another minute or so, and then we'll get going on our wonderful presentation today. It's really good to see this wide participation.
I don't think my laptop has a camera.
Yeah, is it okay?
County can't afford a camera on the laptop, so I'm just a blur.
But you can see us, right, Linnea?
But yes, I can see you just fine.
Okay, good.
And it is
Okay.
so nice to see you all today.
Yeah, it
bonus.
is. And I think this is a good time to get us started. So my name is Bärbel Erik. I work with Joanne and Michelle at the Oneida County Land and Water Conservation Department and on our High Quality Waters grant. And Joanne will guide us through our discovery of a watershed moment today. So we'd just like to establish a couple of things so that we can all be in the best participation as possible. We'd love to take questions at the end of the presentation. So if you have a question, please either write it down for yourself or in the chat if you think you might need help to remember it. Or if some of you who may be on a phone, the chat can be a little bit more tricky to access. We will take verbal questions also. And during the presentation, we ask all of you to stay muted until you're talking. And if there's a question, when we get to that part that you want to just pipe in verbally, please use the raise hand function of Zoom, which is down on the bottom controls where it says react and a heart shape is there. If you go on that, then you can choose to raise your hand. And the benefit of that is that propels your Zoom image right on top of the queue. So it's very easy to see that you would love to make a contribution to our discussion. And if that is there any questions right now before we can get going? Okay. I think then, Joanne, you got the floor.
Okay, so I will share. And I have to make some of this stuff go away so I can see. All right. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
You're
Yeah.
loud and clear.
Okay, good. So welcome to Watershed Moment, keeping high quality waters high quality in Oneida County. I'm Joanne Lund, the Special Projects Coordinator, and I joined Oneida County Land and Water in 2020 and have been working on various grant-funded projects ever since.
Joanne, before you keep going, just if you can tilt the laptop lid a little bit because you're kind of cut off right around the nose.
Okay, how's this?
Much better. Thank you.
Much better? Okay. All right. I can't see myself, so thank you for that. Okay. Uh-oh, it's not advancing. Why not? Oh, there we go. All right, sorry. Okay, so just by way of a little bit of organization, I'm going to start today by talking about what is a watershed, what watersheds do and why they're important. And then we'll move on in the middle section to talking about the DNR's Healthy Watersheds, High Quality Waters Action Plan, which is a statewide plan. And they launched that in 2022. And then I'll wrap it up by talking about our departmental efforts in promoting and protecting our own high-quality waters as part of our high-quality water protection project. But first, we're gonna spend a little time celebrating lakes and waterways. So let's appreciate them. Lakes and waterways are an essential part of the Wisconsin way of life. I'm sure you're all aware. They're really important economically. They provide a myriad of recreational opportunities. They're deeply ingrained in our community and our culture, from fishing tournaments to fish fries. And they're also an important source of spiritual well-being. As Lauren Isley said, if there's magic on this planet, it is contained in water. Because who doesn't feel more peaceful gazing out over a placid lake? So I'm going to start with talking about watersheds quite a bit. Watershed is an area of land that drains water to a common body of water, such as a lake or river. Watersheds are also known as drainage basins, and every body of water has a watershed. If we look at the diagram on the right of a watershed, you can think of a watershed as basins, like basins dotted along the landscape. So any rainwater or snow melt within that basin is going to be drained into a common water body. Some of the precipitation that falls will percolate through the soil and make its way to the groundwater, and then by that pathway also enter the water body. And when we have development such as human development, anything that is anything that's done to the land in the watershed will eventually end up making its way to the water body. So things like pesticides or herbicides, sidewalk salt, PFAS on agricultural fields, all of that will be conducted eventually into the groundwater or the water body. And another thing about development is we tend to lay down impervious surfaces like roads and sidewalks and patios and rooftops and things like that. So that all makes the draining water, there's no slowing it down. It kind of neglects to slow down the running of the water. So as it's running faster over those surfaces, it can pick up more materials and bigger materials. So what happens on the land in the watershed ends up in the water bodies. That's the main point here. So yes, in summary, watershed scale protection is essential to protect our high quality waters. So shown here, watersheds can be viewed at different scales. So on the left is a map of Oneida County showing watersheds that are known as the Huck 12 scale. These are watersheds in the size range of 15 to 60 square miles. And in Oneida County, we have 49 of these that are either entirely within the county borders or at least in part. Over on the right are shown the Huck 10 watersheds in Oneida County. You probably noticed that the smaller the number on the watershed, the larger it is. So these HUC 10 watersheds are actually composed of multiple HUC 12 watersheds. One more example before we move on. If we say, let's say that within this red boundary, that is a HUC 10 watershed. So all of these tributaries are draining into this common waterway here. And then let's say that this is a HUC 12 watershed. So the tributaries drain into this central water body. So that's just another example. So hopefully we're all good with what watersheds are and do. And now I would like to turn to a description of the DNR's Healthy Watersheds and High Quality Waters Action Plan. So they launched this plan in 2022, and it is ongoing. The primary goal is to keep 100% of the priority healthy watersheds and high-quality waters within them at or better than their current condition through at least 2030. The plan also acts to improve the balance between restoration activities and protection activities, shifting toward protection. So historically, all of the efforts have been directed toward restoring impaired waters, but this plan shifts the focus toward protecting waters and watersheds that are currently in a very healthy status. So the plan also highlights and promotes these high-quality waters of Wisconsin and also stresses the importance of partnerships in so doing. This map shows the statewide top 30% healthy watersheds. So these are also, I'll refer to these as the priority watersheds. You can see that northern Wisconsin is blanketed with them. How wonderful. So the dark blue is denotes the top 10% watersheds in the state. The lighter blue is the watersheds between the top 10 to 20%, and then the green show the top 20 to 30%. And again, these are the HUC 12 watersheds, the size range. This map shows the Wisconsin River Basin and all of the HUC 12 watersheds within it. The point here is that Oneida County is located near the headwaters of the Wisconsin River. So protecting the headwaters, or protecting the watersheds and waters in this area benefits everyone to the south of us because everything drains to the south. So it stresses the importance of maintaining the health of our watersheds in northern Wisconsin. This map shows the top 10% healthy watersheds in Oneida County. So the numbers that are on these watersheds denote their statewide rank. I've listed specifically the top 7 here. You might note that it is possible to tie because they're ranked based on a score. So it's possible that they might come up with the same score. 42 of the 49 watersheds in Oneida County are in the top 30%, and 19 of the 49 are in the top 10%. And oh, look at this. We have the top ranked watershed in the state with the Little Rice River watershed right here. We also have a big swath of the number 3 ranked watershed in the state. So the process for assessing the watersheds is really complex, and a lot of different factors are considered, and I don't pretend to have a grasp on all of them, but the assessment is based on 26 watershed health indicators, and I've just kind of summarized the categories of assessment here. So a lot of it depends on the percent of land that's still in natural land cover, the certain hydrologic features, the different kinds of habitat in the watershed and the connectivity of those habitats, the native species that are present, water quality conditions, and the health of the biotic community. And this is the macroinvertebrates and the macrophytes that are living there, which are, if you're not familiar with the terms, these are plants and animals that are visible to the naked eye, but they're just, they're quite small. So I've been talking a lot about the healthy watersheds part of the Healthy Watersheds High Quality Waters Action Plan. So now I'm going to turn our attention to the healthy waters part. And I'll begin with a discussion of Oneida County waterways. So we have 68,000 surface acres of water, over 1,100 lakes in the county, 830 miles of streams, 60 classified trout streams, and over 28% of the land is still in wetlands. Lots of water. This map shows, again, in the background, it shows the top priority watersheds, but in pink, it shows the lakes and rivers that have been assessed as high quality waters, and so they're included in the protection efforts of this action plan. So in order to be assessed as high quality, lakes, streams, and rivers must meet at least 2 of these 3 attributes. They need to be considered a unique or rare resource. Some examples of this would be like wild rice waters or 2-story lakes or trout streams, that sort of thing. They need to attain certain state water quality standards. And then the biotic community needs to be assessed as good or excellent. Also in this initiative are wetlands. So wetlands that are included meet 1 or more of these 3 attributes we just went over, or they are considered in a very little disturbed condition or reference condition. And in Oneida County, we have 25 wetlands assessed as healthy and 6 that are rare or unique. Oh, I forgot to mention this table here on the bottom lists the 38 lakes in Oneida County that have been assessed as high quality waters. So now turning to the departments, the Oneida County Land and Water Conservation Department's High Quality Waters Protection Project. So what our goals are to support and promote the DNR's Healthy Watersheds and High Quality Waters Action Plan, and to promote and protect our healthy watersheds and waters. So here I'll be discussing some of our efforts to date in this regard. We aim to promote stewardship of our healthy waters through promoting awareness, and that we are hope to achieve through a series of webinars, speaking at meetings. We've had a series of workshops. We've also had a series of press releases. We've worked on a lake classification system for the last 2 years. And 2 weeks ago, we found we were awarded a new grant that also focuses on a healthy watershed approach to water quality protection. And this is a 3-year grant, so it'll allow us to continue and expand a lot of these efforts. And also we've been monitoring some sensitive species in the county, and I'll go into that in quite some detail in a bit. I just want to say a few words about the lake classification system. So in a nutshell, what we did was we looked at all of our lakes and assessed them by their physical characteristics and also their current health status. And so we took lakes that were, had similar characteristics and grouped them together, and these are our classes. Then we looked at, or we identified the major risk factors for our waterways. And these we focused on public access, development density, aquatic invasive species, and enhanced wakes. And then we developed a list of protection activities to, in order to mitigate those risk factors. So we're in the process of developing the final outreach materials for the public at this time. And this is a big topic. And so as a department, we decided that this merits its own workshop that will be scheduled for later this year. So now I'm going to turn our attention to some of our monitoring efforts. So we have been monitoring two types of animals in the county. We've been monitoring the bat populations and freshwater mussel populations. So why are we interested in our bats? Well, bats consume an incredible number of agricultural and forest pests. So there are insect pest control experts. Some of the statistics I've seen, a single bat can consume 1,000 mosquitoes in an hour. And another amazing one is that a single bat consumes between 30 and 100% of its body weight in insects every night. So this is a lot of insects. So in so doing, they actually reduce our risk of insect-borne diseases. They're also sensitive to environmental changes, so they're good bioindicators. So they're sensitive to habitat loss and fragmentation, habitat pollution, climate change effects, and water quality changes. Mainly changes in like forest habitat would change their access to roosting sites where they hang out during the day. And then some of these other things may affect their food source. Freshwater mussels. Okay, we've been monitoring actually as a department for quite a long time. I started in 2020 in the department, and we started monitoring mussels then in 2021, and it's been continuous since. But I know that our aquatic invasive species department was also monitoring mussels before that. So this is kind of a long-term thing. And the new grant will allow us to continue with that. So in case you aren't familiar with mussels, it's an animal that lives inside two shells, like a clam, sort of, with a hinge between the two shells. Mussels feed, well, they live on the substrate of waterways, usually completely or partially buried in the substrate. They take in water and filter it to obtain food, and then expel the water back to the environment, having removed things from it. So they're these amazing, they do an amazing job of filtering particulates, and they also remove things like heavy metals from the environment. So if you have a healthy mussel population in an area, they actually improve the water quality just by being there. Also, their shells provide habitat and nesting sites for insects, fish, and plants. They serve as a food source for wildlife, and they are sensitive to water quality changes, so they're good bioindicators as well. In the last couple of months, I've seen news articles about municipalities using freshwater mussels as biosensors for their water supply. And this has been done in Warsaw, Poland, and in Minneapolis. I'll first describe our bat monitoring program. So in 2023, the department purchased the equipment we needed for bat monitoring. The device is called an Anabat, and it records bat sonar. And then these recordings are sent to Madison, where they identify the different species that were recorded. And before I forget, all of our bat monitoring to date has been done by two amazing citizen scientist volunteers, Marcia Obakowitz and Ruth Yeager, and we thank them very much for their efforts. So in 2023, we monitored at the sites shown on this map. There were 6 species identified. These numbers show the relative frequency of encounter. So the most frequently recorded species was the hoary bat in 2023. This figure shows the same information as this, so it's just showing that the, let's see, hoary bat was the most commonly encountered species. Let's see, and then in 2024, we monitored species, or we monitored bats at these locations. Again, 6 species were identified. Also, this year, the most frequently encountered was the hoary bat, and I have a picture of one here. I also want to mention that these sites were identified where monitoring occurred by looking at our healthy watersheds as a guideline and our high quality waters, and also some of the state prescribed routes that they like to repeat every year. So from there, we also offered last summer a bat workshop called a Bat Walk at Town Line Park. Our citizen scientist volunteers, well, one, Marcia Obakowitz, led the training and the workshop. And we had quite a good turnout, and she talked about bat biology, about her methods and results. And this was also part of our light pollution initiative that we call Northwoods Lights Out. We're starting our 3rd year of that. And so it's just to build awareness of how nighttime lighting interferes with a lot of different organism biology. And this is a program that is sponsored by our department and also the Vilas County Land and Water Conservation Department. One more thing is, so we have this equipment now, and this coming summer, we are going to be offering training to bat monitor to other citizen scientists who are interested. And the first bat monitor training has been scheduled for May 30th. So this way we will hopefully increase awareness and stewardship of bat populations, and then get some more people involved. Now turning to our mussel monitoring efforts, I'm just going to talk about the last 2 years. So these 2 photos serve as kind of a method section. So we chose locations based on appropriate habitat or maybe a known mussel population. And also this was guided by the top 30% watersheds and our healthy waters. So we did monitoring in 7 locations shown on this map. What we do is we go into the waterway with aquascopes, looking at the bottom for mussels, collecting them in mesh bags, keeping them wet and cool, and then we bring them up on the shoreline. and sort them by species or morphotype, take photographs of them, and then return them to the waterway. In 2023, we identified 13 species of mussels. The most commonly, this again shows the most commonly encountered. So the most common was the fat mucket, which is down here. And I put these photos in just to show you that they actually do look different from each other. So they are possible to sort out. And they have these wonderful fanciful names. I love the common names they've been given. In 2024, we monitored at these 8 locations. We again identified 13 different species, but this list is not identical to the 2023 list, so it was some differences. In 2024, the most commonly encountered was the black sand shell, which is here. And again, you can see how they're different shapes, different thickness. Some of them have rays, some of them have points, so they look different. There's a lot of different species. Okay, so you also can help survey Wisconsin flora and fauna. There are a lot of different citizen-based monitoring programs available to anyone who's interested. I have the DNR's Aquatic and Terrestrial Resource Inventory website here at the bottom. So you can get information on any of these listed on that website. But there's more than this available. This is not an all-inclusive list. There's also some that I am aware of, but there's more than this, is you can do bat roosting surveys. You can do monarch, caterpillar, and butterfly surveys, wolf track surveys, wolf howl surveys. And there's also this Snapshot Wisconsin program where you apply and are sent a trail cam, and then you set it up in an appropriate location and simply upload the photos every 3 months. So that's a really fun and easy way to contribute to the database. We have, as I've said, we have monitored bats and mussels. And with this new grant, we'll be able to start doing rare plant surveys. So we're really excited about that. So we can all help keep our watersheds and waters healthy. Some things you can do simply at home are things like avoid or minimize the use of pesticides and fertilizers, and this includes things like mosquito spraying, avoiding that. Be mindful of stormwater runoff and where it drains. If you have any erosion occurring on your property, take steps to address it. We can, if you live on a waterway, you can maintain or restore your shoreline to a more natural condition. You can add some native plantings along your shoreline, and you can plant trees or preserve your forested land. I have a photo here of a project that was completed by our department along the Wisconsin River. It's along a really long, wide bend, and the bank was eroding into the river, but now it has a nice, gentle, fortified slope with native plantings. Other things you can do outside of home are to get involved. You can join a local conservation group, or lake association. Start participating in local government. Attend county committee and board meetings, especially those that address lake-related issues. You can share your passion with others, with your friends and your family, and on social media, your passion for our beautiful and healthy resources here in northern Wisconsin. And you can participate in some of those citizen science programs we talked about. So in conclusion, just a reminder that it is far easier and more cost-effective to keep our waterways healthy than it is to have to restore impaired waters. And this is a beautiful little boggy lake that's not far from my house. We have so many of these in the county. They're just such gems. And this is one place I go out of many when I need the peace of wild things. So in conclusion, so lovely was the loneliness of a wild lake. I have here listed some places you can get more information. The top one is the Oneida County Land and Water Conservation website, the Lake Classification tab, and that also has information on our High Quality Waters project. The second one is the DNR's Healthy Watersheds High Quality Waters Program website. These two are publications that are available on this website. This one was produced when they launched the action plan, and then this is a one-year progress report. If you're really interested in more detail about how the watersheds and waters were assessed, you can find all that information on this technical report, which is also available on the initiative website. And then this is the website with the Citizen Science Monitoring Program information. And that is what I've prepared for you today. We'd now like to open it up to any discussion or questions that you may have.
Yeah, and we have one question already in the chat, and I'd like to first address that this recording will very likely go on our website. So
Oh, yeah.
whoever wants to see it again or see the slides, that will be available at a in a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And one question that we have is whether the Wisconsin counties are ranked as far as which has the healthiest watersheds. And if so, where does Oneida County rank? And this question is from Eric Rampala. And I hope I
I
pronounced
don't know
that
the
correctly.
answer to that. You
Yeah.
know, I could only guess that, of course, the north end of the state is ranked highest because we already saw the top 30% watersheds are all over that, but I haven't seen a ranking by county. That doesn't mean it's not available somewhere.
Thank you. And
Mhm.
then we have a hand up by Jean Gallagher, if you'd like to
Yes,
tell us your question.
and I'm calling with Zoom on my phone, and I'm new to all the features, so forgive me if I'm sounding strange or it's not coming through clearly. But I live in
You
Minocqua.
are.
I'm a 1982 Hodag Rhinelander graduate, so I'm familiar with the area. But I've just moved back here in 3 years ago, and a couple things this past winter really bothered me about what I've seen. And the most troublesome I saw was poisoning of all of the trees in the power line corridor that WPS has. So if you pull up a Google map, you'll see a 100 or more foot swath that goes all over the state uh, where these giant power lines are. And you have trees that grow up under those power lines.
Mhm.
And I was walking my dog on the Raven Trail, which parallels one of those recently. And I noticed last spring that all of the trees that were growing in this corridor were poisoned. And I contacted the DNR and was able to get the herbicides that were used. But I'm just thinking year over year, if they did that regularly
Mhm.
within certainly the headwaters watershed of the Wisconsin River, which is
Mhm.
already an impaired water body, it seems counter to what I heard you say in the DNR Healthy Waters Action Plan. So my expectation is the DNR permitted WPS, which is a part of a giant corporation,
Right.
do all that poisoning. So I just wanted to hear your response to. I was sort of on the ledge and looking for someone to to talk me down why this is
Oh.
okay to do or is it a
Mhm.
bad thing. Thank you.
Well, it certainly doesn't sound like a good idea to me. I don't know what to say about it. Of course, it'll make its way into the waterways, and the groundwater. I guess it's easier for them than cutting them down. But yeah, I don't know. I guess you'd have to talk to someone at the DNR. Does anybody else have thought on that?
Well, I think first of all, thank you for sharing your observation. And
Mhm.
we happen to have people on the call from the DNR, so that this is being noted as an
Mhm.
observation. And we don't have direct information on the permitting of these
Mm-mm.
kind of activities within our jurisdiction, what is happening here. So I think either if somebody who's on the call would like to pipe in, or otherwise I would like to refer you to call directly to your local representative. Any other input, Michelle?
Yeah, Jean, if you wouldn't mind, also if sharing your email address, if you want to put it in the text box, or just reach out to our department if you want to call, or visit our website. Our website is oclw.org. Maybe we can kind of do a little bit of connecting the dots here as well. I don't have an easy answer for you as well. I'm not sure if there is a permitting process. I do know they spray, I do know they cut, but I don't know exactly what happened in that situation. So we're happy to try to connect some dots for you.
Thank you.
And we can put the phone number in the chat here in a minute too. Thank you, Jean. Then we have a question in the chat that came from Katie Hine in reference to the mussel monitoring.
Mhm.
And the question is whether the surveys were done primarily on rivers, and if one were to desire to do monitoring in the lakes, what would there need to be considered? Or is it even worth it? Are there many mussel species in the lakes?
Well, I guess our focus has largely been rivers, but we have also done monitoring on some lakes where we know there's active populations. So it's kind of a mix. And then certain species of mussel prefer moving water to still water, and so you'll find different different species there. But I guess what was the second part of your question? How you would find out?
What would you do? What is there to consider if you do it in a lake?
Well, it's really the same process, because we do both. So you would just locate a favorable and habitat, or somewhere where there's a mussel population, but it's the same process, really.
I think the sandy bottom is good
Yes,
to have.
definitely. You have to be the mussels like it a little firmer, and then in order to do the survey, you have to be able to walk on it. So they don't tend to like these really silty bottoms we get sometimes in this part of the world.
And from Katie Hine also another question on monitoring for bats.
Mhm.
What locations, what kind of sites did we do the monitoring on? And whether it was adjacent to rivers or lakes.
I think most of our monitoring was done on lakes. There were a few stretches of the Wisconsin River I know that were done. So a lot of these survey locations are like prescribed routes by the state. And then we tried to pick ones that were located within our highest quality watersheds and in some of our healthy lakes. So I don't know how they pick those. I guess I'd have to do some more research or go to the state bat monitoring website. But I'm sure that our surveys were done largely on lakes.
And I
Joe,
can
go ahead, Birbal. I could jump in here too, but if you go ahead.
add a little bit on that is that stretches in areas that have less population are favorable, where
Mhm.
there's low or no light pollution, that
Mhm.
they will be higher in the bad population.
Mhm.
And Michelle, you have something to add?
Yep, I know. I just was talking with one of our volunteers just a couple days ago, and I know last year in particular, it seemed that some of the smaller lakes were having bigger hits, more density and more diverse hits. So we may be looking at choosing some smaller lakes, just to kind of compare. Maybe going back to some of those smaller lakes, and I know there was also talk of doing some drive routes as well.
Mhm.
So, yeah, lower populations, and we're starting to see that trend of smaller lakes being a little bit where recovery has been seen a little bit more so.
I guess I could add interesting, what I thought was an interesting observation of Marcia's was that on Town Line Lake, the stretch of the shoreline right adjacent to the Town Line Park is the only place on the lake where they recorded bat sonar. And on the developed parts of the lake, they didn't get any hits. So it's because of the habitat, the roosting sites, but, so it's just another example of how, important it is to maintain some natural shoreline.
Yes, that's a very good point. So we do have more questions, and I want to address, Eric, that your initial earlier question in the chat, Lauren Hayden provided additional information. Thank you for that. And like to take your next question, Eric.
Yes, hello. Um,
I,
I just want to compliment you guys, the Oneida County Land and Water Conservation. You guys do fantastic work. We really need to get your work out there more so the public can see this. I think it would be greatly appreciated than more than just us water protectors, if you want to call it. I did want to touch on what Gene had mentioned earlier, and I have seen this spraying of of, and I've seen it in Lincoln County. I know I've seen it right on the Wisconsin River, right on the Grandfather Dam. So WPS, they literally spray right on the shoreline. So a lot of the riprap areas that they use to create some damming and stuff, they spray some type of herbicide right on. And I've tried to find out, what the legality of that is, and hopefully that's happening. That isn't happening in Oneida County, but I find it astounding that that type of application right on the river is concerning. And hopefully we can get a handle on what's permitted and why those things are going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for your efforts as well.
And we got Mary Young.
Hi, yes, thank you, Joanne. This is really good. One of the things I was wondering is, because there's about 38 or so of those
Yeah,
lakes,
high quality
those
lake.
bodies of water, that we consider those high quality. Right, and we consider those high quality waters,
Yes.
and the Wisconsin, and things with the Wisconsin River. Are there anything for us in lake associations on some of those waters to be able to customize things? Because I think it resonates really well when it's a local message. People don't have a lot of time, but when they know it has something specific to do with their lake or their immediate area. And I didn't know if anything was being, talked about specific for some of those, or even by the watershed. So you're talking about having communications materials.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
that we might
so
be able to
we just want to
customize.
make sure your reception was a little bit distorted. So I'm just gonna make sure we get your question right, Mary. So I'm hearing that you're wondering whether there's any outreach material handy for lake associations to use within their local communication area. Is that correct?
Yeah, and specific to those lakes that are high quality waters, because if we can single out those, it's just helpful for people to realize that's their lake or their watershed. And I didn't know if anything was done specific to those, looking specifically at those watersheds or those high quality lakes.
Joanne, you want to take a whack at this, or you want me to?
Well, I guess I'm not sure I understand what kinds of things are being sought. Other than like, our speaking at meetings and workshops and
Well,
webinars and things. Are you talking, Mary, about print material?
maybe let me jump in here just for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
Yes,
I
was.
Yeah, I think maybe right where we're sitting at, Mary, we're just coming up at finishing the lake classification system. So we're just putting those finishing touches on it. We've had some outreach on things along the way, and we've just been doing the outreach on the watershed. So we're kind of connecting those dots here. So you're going to see a lot more specifics coming out, probably within the next year. Dealing with the lake classification system, getting outreach on these watersheds, because a lot of people have no idea we have the #1 watershed in the state. That is not known. There's a lot of outreach that could be done to towns, to lake associations within that watershed. That's just starting to come from our area. I don't think I have anything, or we've really talked anything specific, like we would make like a flyer that a lake association could use, changing it up and them using it. It's a conversation that can certainly be had with us, so we don't have anything specific in mind, but you're going to see a lot more outreach coming out to the lake groups and the general public within the next year, if that's helpful.
Thank you. It is, because I'm just starting to, so having that kind of stuff ready, if it's ready. If not, it's not.
Okay, thank you, Mary. And yes, if you have more questions, to the department at any time, please reach out to us. We definitely want to support more outreach happening within the watersheds and or lake associations. And we have Lauren.
Hi, just really quick context. I wanted to provide some support here. I'm Lauren. I'm the Watershed Protection Coordinator at the DNR. And first of all, excellent presentation, Joanne. You guys are excellent partners for this and appreciate all your work. I also wanted to acknowledge that some of the kind of outreach and support can be driven to by the DNR and some tools we're working on. So that's helpful to know, Mary, that those kind of things would be helpful so that we can better work with our partners at the county level. But one tool I'll drop in the chat that right now is ready to go. There's two, but the first that comes to mind is the Wisconsin Water Explorer tool, or WEX. We integrated the Healthy Watersheds High Quality Waters data into there, and you can search one of these high quality waters and it'll kind of give you a nice simple report that looks at the watershed health and the high quality waters. So I'll put that link in the chat, but please reach out if you have any questions. But right now, I think that's a nice thing to be able to share with your lake groups, to be able to kind of just see a little snapshot, and it breaks down, for example, Tomahawk Lake, of those high quality water criteria, which ones did it meet? So it'll let you know it actually met all three. It had a unique and rare resource, it's attaining water quality standards, and we had good to excellent biotic data. So anyways, just wanted to share that, and I'll pass that along in the chat. Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lauren.
It's good to have you here.
Okay. Well, are there any, as we wait for this tool that's being put in the chat, are there any other questions that are coming up for anybody or inputs? And we see there's been some information put in the chat about the transmission line, herbicide applications. Thank you for that. Anybody else? The presentation will be available to share in a way that, yes, that will be either probably uploading this recording somehow on our website. And Office, our Joanna, our wonderful office manager, is likely going to let you know once it's available.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you for, okay, there's a applause. Thank you, Chris. We take applause and reaction buttons too. Okay, well, maybe that is it. And we are always available, via email for more questions at a later time. Yes, and thank you, Carrie. We also are looking forward to be working more closely together with the Northwoods Land Trust. Well, then I think we might be able to wrap this up. Thank you, thank you everybody for coming. This has been a marvelous show. I'm lacking the word right now. A lot of people showed up.
Yeah. Mhm.
So thank you for the interest, and we will certainly continue to be in touch with our new events that we're designing and putting out dates very soon. And again, the bad monitoring training is available to anybody in the public. We want to make the Annabet available to the public to check out their own lake for bats. And create some excitement and awareness around that. So if you have an interest in spreading the information on the May 30th bed monitoring training. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. It's
Thank
good to
you.
see everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Appreciate your
evening.
interest. Mhm.
Until next time.
Keep
Bye-bye.
the faith.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.